I think you were going to talk about the January effect, weren't you? Where basically if you have a great start to the year, which we definitely did have in January, it tends to look very positive for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so if we look at what we expect from the year based on what you see in January, and this is based off the performance since 2000, the numbers hold even if you go further back to 1950. The average return for the S&P is about 7.7% every year. If you have a year where January itself was positive, and 2026 is such a year, so we were up 1.1% in January by the close. If you get a positive January, that rises to 12.5%. If you have a negative January, the average return is just 2.2%. I think the old cliche is as January goes, so goes the year. And there's been a lot of and you yourself have said it, you've had 3 years of double-digit returns for the S&P 500 and 3 very good years for global markets generally, and you clock up a 4th. And it's a midterm year. Historically, they can be weaker, or at least certainly they don't go anywhere. 2022 was an extreme example, but midterm years 2018 was another example that they do not do as well as other years. But if you have a positive January, that it doesn't guarantee you, of course, that you'll see a very strong return, but it does suggest, or at least provide tilt the odds in the favour, perhaps, of a more positive year overall.
That is true, but we're talking about averages here. And obviously you could have a down-performing year like this one compared to the last 3 years, which were double-digit gains. So it would just, be part of the stats.
Yes.
We're talking about averages.
Exactly. You look at years where you had a very weak January. So, for example, 2009, of course, was a very, very weak January and ended the year very, very strongly. 2020... A lot happened in 2020, down slightly in January, but obviously a very, very strong end to the year. So I guess not a guarantee, but it is a notable point that we had for all of the worry about, well, it's a midterm year, it could be poorer. At least January itself set us up for what could be a more positive performance.